Welcome to Mogul Talk, where wealth and lifestyle converge. We are mindset media dealing with business, social relevance, abundance, lifestyle, and spirituality. This is your time. This is your moment. And this is your host, Ms. Mogul, Charity Smith.
Hello, America and around the world. This is Charity Smith. I am Ms. Mogul. I'm in the studio today, and it is my extreme delight to have this conversation today. As many of you know, we have launched our Ghana Week, where we're talking about economic development and the possibilities that await us if we start to really seriously consider a possible relocation back to the continent. I could not think of a better guest to have this conversation with. So I'm going to ask you all now, get your hearts and your minds ready. And as I always say, get your laptop, get your latte. We're talking to someone today who's going to school us on what the possibilities really are. And so without further ado, I want to welcome into the studio my elder, Queen Mother, Ms. Wakeelah Martinez. Come on in the studio. Good morning, Elder.
Well, good morning, Charity. How are you?
I'm delighted. I'm almost giddy to have this conversation with you because I know what they're in store for. The listeners don't know, but I know. And I'm so excited to have you here today. We're going to post your bio next to the show. It really is a litany of accomplishments when it comes to academics, Howard University, the Mecca, Morgan State University, Wichita State, so many accolades in academia, over 35 years, training young minds in what the possibilities, yes, ma'am, over 35 years. And that does not include all the work you've done in Malaysia, Ghana, and all of the curating you've done, right? And experiences in business and culture. So we're going to post that bio because, again, it's going to take some time for folks to read through all of that. And I want to spend this time allowing them to hear you and to hear your voice and all that you bring to the table. So again, thank you for having this conversation with me this morning.
Well, thank you for inviting me. What a privilege to be asked to be on the Mogul Show with a person that I spend an extensive amount of time understanding that they are very focused and organized and ready to go with the energy of a mogul. You represent yourself very well, but the most important aspect that I received from meeting you and traveling with you is your spiritual intent. And that's, I think, was the big deal for me when I was actually everybody who went on that trip and became the dream team. I could not have, I always say this, I could not have prayed you up. Everybody
You said that many times.
You just showed up through other people, and it was like, oh, okay, you want to go? Fine, let's go. But it was, as I always say, a perfect merging and coming together. Very innovative.
So I wanted to have this conversation with you, Elder, because I think it's so timely. With everything that is going on now, not just academically with our students and COVID and all of that, but really having a conversation now about personhood and finding one's self, and what all of that means now, particularly to those of us who are in the diaspora from African descent, what that really means to us. I want to talk to you about, you kind of alluded to it in your opening comments, but we had the pleasure of going to Ghana earlier this summer, and what a life-changing. I do not say that often because I think that's kind of a term that we throw around too lightly, kind of like love. We throw that word around too lightly. But certainly having that experience, it was more than just traveling to the continent. It really was a spiritual awakening, alignment, a coming alive for me personally. I don't talk about it often without getting emotional, and I'm not normally that kind of woman. You know, I'm not, and we laughed about this. I'm not normally that chick where, you know, the tears, no, that's just not me. However, however,
Any moments of
it was,
tearful cleansing pleasure. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
it was something
Yeah.
to have that experience where our feet touch the soil. Again, um, what is it meant for you
Mhm.
to now pursue
Mhm.
helping those of us who are in the diaspora find a home?
Yes.
What does that mean to you personally to be kind of at the helm of this? And talk to us about how all of this started.
Okay, so you already started me on the emotional. I
Just
will say that I don't know if you got this one thing about me, but actually I'm very funny. I always
oh
want
yeah, I got that.
something that's comical. So I just want to let your viewing audience know that those feet are my turkey. I love those stuffed things, and so you see the feet above me. It's my turkey up there. Sorry. I
Hey, turkey.
should- for me, it started years and years ago. I've been going into Africa wanting to do business and create um, a stable way to presence myself, but also live there. And so in 1980, I made my very first trip into Africa, in which I did the Jos trade show in Jos, Nigeria. That is where I got my,
You
my
got the
my
fever,
addiction
huh?
to it. Yeah, I was like, woo, okay. And as always, when a person is, that you're actually moving in the grace and that you're meeting your assignment,
Mm,
that the things that you are doing, no complications come up. You're just always in a flow.
yeah.
And I was so excited about that opportunity. I took educational toys and equipment for the trade show. And if you know how to do that, and you know how it was in 1980 to go into Nigeria with goods and looking American and all this kind of stuff, then you know that everybody else in my group were held back in customs while I just walked all the way through and
Mhm.
just and I think for the most part I've always known that if I go into Africa, go into any country, I always like to dress appropriately. So
Mm.
they just figured without saying anything to me, I was okay and I was an American, just go on through, and I'm having to wait like 40 minutes for my people. But that was my first feeding. That was the first time that I really knew that for some reason or other, since the age of 13, wanting to go and prove to the world that Africa is far more developed than what we see on television with Tarzan. Um, that was the trip that said, this is what I should be doing. And so I've gone back and forth several times. Ghana became my love while teaching and working in Malaysia.
Mhm.
I was assigned to the faculty of University Putra, in which I met with and began to do a lot of transformational training within organizations as well as government ministries.
Mhm.
And I met several people who were very interested in doing business in Ghana. When I first get to a country, I always make myself known at embassies,
That's good.
find out who is the chief in the African culture in these foreign countries. There's always what they call the godfather.
Mhm.
That is the eldest or the one who has, or the embassy that's been in place the longest.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so I took myself and introduced myself to the ambassador from Nigeria, and that put me in the scheme of things. They were just like amazed that this American showed up at their door and said, "Hey, I want to know what y'all doing." And so
It
that
was the phrase you used, though. I took myself and I
Yes.
introduced myself. That has been your modus operandi ever since I've known you. I took myself, I introduced myself, and I waited for God to just open the doors because I'm taking myself.
I,
I want you to fast forward before we get to the first commercial. Fast forward to now, after you've done the lay of the land and you've gotten the bug and you've gotten the love and the passion for the continent, the people, and you're honing in now on Ghana. What was the genesis of it's time for us to start thinking about this being a permanent landing place? That's the quick conversation I want to have before we go to commercial.
I always knew that there was something that happened to your spirit when
Mm.
you land.
That's
It's
so true, though. That is so true.
you land, it as if this feminine energy comes over you.
Wow.
And it's like I feel natural. I don't feel out of place. I don't feel foreign.
Now,
This is so familiar. And
yeah.
that's it. That was for me on my first trip in with the Ghana Association of Women Entrepreneurs,
Mhm.
and also taking very, highly the people that I was bringing from Malaysia um, were unbelievable investors, people with huge amounts of investment, and I'm so happy and privileged that feel very privileged that I was able to bring two major investments into Ghana that still exist today. But it's that one point and it's different when you get off the plane in Nigeria and when you get off the plane in Ghana. It's
Also,
different. It's a different feeling when you get off the plane in South Africa
yeah.
and you get off the plane in Ghana. So it's just this loving spirit of acceptance and openness that brings you there. And then the second time I knew that something needed to happen to continue to come back, but also encourage other people.
Hmm.
And that is when I went through the dungeons and I met Mama Amicus and spent time at One Africa with her and Rabbi Kohen.
Oh my God.
I was
We
in that early group in the 1980s. And they had just started talking about the things that they had gone through and how important it is to establish a way for people to come home. And upon one of my returns, you all didn't get to meet him, but also with Mama Amicus was her husband.
mm,
And he used to this was my habit. I would come into Ghana and go right to Cape Coast, do my thankfulness at the dungeons, and then spend time at One Africa. And then when I was ready to leave, I would also go back to One Africa and I would spend the night and I would leave from there and go home. And once Baba said to me, he said, for the African, you have to be able to come and stay. You see how you feel? You don't want to go, but you have to go because you made up your mind. You have to go. He said, but I will tell you, every time you get ready to come home, it's going to be more and more challenges and difficulties. Sister, someday you will need to stay.
mm. So before we go to break, I want people to know the impact of that. I had the opportunity to meet Mama Amicus
Yes.
and Rabbi Kohen on that trip. And if I tell you, it was sitting in the midst of giants and greatness and just the history and the power of these people's collective experience and their passion. And I would say it was a very unselfish love, too. It was a very unselfish love that they just generously gave to everyone that was there, but their love of the people, for the culture, and for this passion of coming home. I didn't get a chance to meet her husband. I think he had passed away. He had already transitioned by the time we had gotten there. But I get the sentiment of whenever you come, it's almost like you start to grow roots in the soil. And there was a saying in Ghana right before we go to commercial, anything that comes to Ghana grows. So as soon as we put our feet in the soil, we kind of start to grow root systems there already, not wanting to go. So we're going to take this quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk to you about the return and how we're now coming through those doors after the return and the impact on the work that we're doing now in Wasoner. So stay right there. We'll be right back.
Are you ready to break out and break through? Wait no longer. Charity Smith, known as Ms. Mogul, has created a breakthrough course and mastermind called the Mogul Method for multidimensional leaders wanting to harness their creative power and release their next big idea, transforming their performances, culture, and leadership. A highly sought-after media personality, business and transformative leader, Ms. Mogul enraptures her audience, taking them on a journey of personal and performance discovery with laughter, candor, a biting wit, and over 20 years of business acumen and leadership. Go to www.youcancreateyourown.economy.com now to awaken the mogul in you.
And we are back having this conversation. I caught you right there returning. No worries. No worries at all. Before we went to break, Professor Wakeelah, we talked about the impact now of the return. Yeah. We had this trip after the 2019 campaign of Ghana's president, and I want to pronounce his name correctly, President Nana Akufo-Addo. I probably just butchered that. Addo. Thank you. That's my Texas Southern drawl getting in the way. But he made this invitation that resonated literally around the world to the descendants of formerly enslaved people and Africans in the diaspora to come home. I'm getting chills now talking about it because we never really heard someone from the continent say, come back. We know, of course, in the early 19th century, we had the Marcus Garvey movement where they were really trying to encourage Africans and formerly enslaved people to return, but the movement didn't pick up the migration steam. It was sidetracked. But here we are all these years later. We're now revisiting that, and now it's viable. It's tangible. And I'm getting chills again. We can almost taste it. Now that we've had the experience of the return, what do you think the impact is now on the work that we're doing in formally starting to galvanize the efforts to return? What's the impact of that? And I want to know in terms of culture, business, economics, development, what's the implication of us coming back through those doors and returning to the continent?
You know, I always want to let people know that there's a distinction.
That's the academic in you.
Yeah.
That's the teacher in you. Come on through, teacher.
So Wasoner, which is the name of our division, is a project that is completely different than any of the return projects that are currently happening. Most are being offered opportunities to open businesses, to do business relationships, to have housing, to develop out beautiful housing that's coming up in Ghana, but more importantly, making it easier for you to come and live there and do business there or just retire there and so forth. So that in itself is an easy method. And one of the things that has opened up for us there as returning Africans. But the Wasoner project is above all of that. Our King Nene has offered to do something that no other country has offered to do. And that is,
I want you to talk about that.
Yep. To actually merge you so that you become part of a kingdom, as if you had never been gone, that you take on the traditions, you are part of the rites of passage, you are part of the rituals, the culture. of the Yilo Krobo tribe, you will have your own courts, you will have your own queen mother, you will have your own chief. Most important is that you will be recognized by the government of Ghana as an actual member of the Yilo Krobo Nation. And that in itself is the distinction. Number two, you won't have necessarily the dual passport that most returning Africans are looking for and making requests for. But more importantly, you will have a choice to carry the Ghanaian passport, period. You will become a citizen, fully recognized as a Ghanaian and not as an immigrant. Number three,
Wow.
you
I mean,
have
I'm
land.
hearing it again. I've heard it before, but I'm sitting here again and I'm having the same impact. It's having the same impact as when I heard it the first time. But please go ahead. I'm about to jump through the screen. I'm excited.
and third, you have been given land, period, to develop as a tribe, Wasoner 7th Division. You will have your own land to develop, to organize, to give to your children in succession. You will be part of an original foundation of chieftaincy and royalty in the Wasoner 7th Division, the first families. And so when you look at it that way, this is not anything, like there are rituals in which you see that people come and they do a lot of work for a particular tribe or for a particular division, and they get honorary chieftaincy. They become the honorary queen mother of development and so forth. But they will not be a card carrying Yilo Krobo citizen. So
Wow.
that's the distinction. And we must be very conscious of the fact that I believe, and you've met him, and I'm not a Bible scholar, but you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I have several of our elders have recognized, and I recognized it very early on. I didn't know exactly what the literature says, but our king is actually answering what the biblical message was.
Okay. So now right there, I'll just go whole in to church on you with that. You have been with me before. I'm ready to just go in on you right now.
Come on.
I'm coming. I came ready. I'm here.
Hey, look, you met him.
Yes, I did. And I want to tie all of that together, Elder, because you gave so much. So let's go back to the top of the conversation. What distinguishes this? What Garvey, I think, was hoping for was us to return as immigrants. This thing has now taken on momentum all these years later, where now we have the opportunity because of what's happening with Wasoner. Wasoner in Yilo means youngest sibling, right? There's 6, and I want to give a little bit more context there. There are already 6 divisions there. We would be the 7th, and I'm saying we because I'm old in this. We would be the 7th there, the baby coming home to now establish a presence among those who have been there already. That in itself makes this different from what Garvey was pursuing and what other initiatives have pursued, firstly. Secondly, the implication of now erasing what has happened in the diaspora. And this is what I mean by that. Because of the gift that our king has given Wasoner to become citizens, to be fully immersed in the land, the culture, the politics, the citizenry, the chieftaincy, totally immersed in that. What that does is give us now an identity that can now supersede formerly enslaved person.
Right.
The implication of that is what to me is so mind-boggling. And then, by the way, I named your show A Woman Called Moses for a reason. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
And
I named your show.
I have to look for my pen, but I'm forever a pin on my lapel for it was like 10 years. It was on everything. And all of a sudden I lost it. But you're right. That's my girl, Harriet.
Yes. And it was funny. We had, that's a sidebar note. While we were there, we were renamed and given our names after coming back. And my name, I'm not going to try to give that out right now, but my name was synonymous with Nzinga and Harriet. And
Yeah.
you and I kind of we merged on that because we were like, oh, so that's why we got this going on. But
Yeah.
I named your show that because everything I know about you has been leading people to their identity, to their home, to their essence, to all of that has been leading people back in just the short amount of time I've known you. So when I was thinking about your show, I was like, a woman called Moses. I already know who she is. Give the woman a staff and let's go. Yeah. But now to our king. Oh, go ahead and wipe the tears because I'm gonna be running in a minute.
Oh boy.
But to our king, what blessed me so much is that not only because let's just be very transparent here, Elder. Other opportunities were given to other kings and chiefs who did not fully embrace the coming home of the youngest son or the youngest daughter. This king, I'm gonna just put it out there, you know, I don't have the diplomacy braces to put on, so I could be fully charity. They did not, but this man did. And here's why I find it so I don't even find it ironic because irony removes divine providence. Here's why, oh my God, I'm so blessed by it. When we met this young man, and he is young, forward thinking, has a vision for the future, fully embraced you, me, us, everybody that came as a part already, as a part of the culture, the people, the citizenry. But then there is this part of him that all of us had the opportunity to kind of glean from, is he is a prayerful man. This man knows how to touch the heart of Yah. And he carries the heart of God. When we were there, we had the opportunity to not only hear his vision, his economic vision for the development of the 500 acres that will be Wasoner, but to also hear his spirit regarding it and how he was fully aligned and in tune with what this meant from a historical perspective, from a spiritual perspective, yes, economic, yes, cultural, but the spirit of the thing is what he brought there. And I'm telling you, as if you don't already know, it was just mind blowing. But I'm so appreciative. I'm serious, like all over again. You crying and I'm talking.
I know.
But all over again.
Yeah.
Understanding now, and you said it would happen once we got home and we had a chance to sit in all of it. Yeah. Once we had a chance to really absorb it, because while we were there, it was just, I mean, the schedule was just manic. If I can be honest, the schedule was manic.
I like it like that.
I know. And I had to come into your manic world with my rigid thinking. But the implications, Elder, of what this means is something else. We're going to take another quick commercial break. When we come back, I want to talk to you about what the implications mean moving forward and what the validation of the World Council of Mayors means to this project. This isn't just a conversation about returning to Ghana. This has now, the global eyes are looking at this. Global validation is on this project. And the world is looking now at what's about to happen with Wasoner. So when we come back, I want to talk to you about now looking ahead. What does, again, this validation from the World Council of Mayors mean? But now what's the implication moving forward? Can't wait to have that conversation. We'll be right back, everybody. Welcome to Mogul, the place where business, lifestyle, and possibilities collide. Hello, my name is Charity Smith. I'm Miss Mogul. I'm a business leader, global speaker, trusted economic development strategist, media personality, author, advocate, and lioness mom. We're taking you next door and around the world, conversing with business leaders about the news of the day, emerging business trends, and introducing your family to possibilities that will help you live life to its fullest. Listen, we're really excited about our special interest stories where we connect you with authentic faith, spirituality, and abundant thinking. Tune in right here, streaming live on this platform or on a mobile device near you. And listen, don't forget to subscribe to this show and discover the Mogul in you. We're excited to connect with you, and we'll see you streaming live right here. And we are back. Elder,
hey, let me say something right quick.
Yes, please.
You know, I tease you guys about how it was rapid fire. You da 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 da. Actually, that's the way they do business with each other. So what happened constantly for you all, and I was constantly being reminded by my king. This is their first trip. This is their first trip into Africa. Be patient because they're learning. And
so was no buffer, no chaser. You gave it straight. There was nothing. No buffer, no chaser. Just straight.
And you didn't even have to bring out your American style, this is how we do it thing, because you didn't have a chance, did you? So
not one.
It was consistently the way we do business here. This is the way we do business around here. Now, we said we're going to have that meeting at 2, but yeah, it's not now going to move to 3. And yeah, it's going to take us an hour and a half to get there. But noting all of the things that have to go into getting a meeting with a governor.
Yes.
That's what you do when you meet with the governor, which at 8:00 yesterday, he may have said, oh yeah, bring him by the office. Yeah, that's a good time. Da, da, da. But then by 6:00 in the morning, the next day, he's gotten a phone call, and now he's calling your people to tell your people, hey, I gotta go. So we'll see y'all at 10. And so now we have a busload of people who have not had the experience how to do business in Ghana, especially government.
Yes.
That was, I enjoyed watching you all. I really did.
It was comedy. It was comedy.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching it.
It was, and I say that kind of facetiously, it was funny in one way, but then to see people rise to the occasion in the moment, right? And to pull on whatever they needed to pull on, whether it was flexibility, whether it was creative thinking, whether it was problem, whatever it was in the moment, we just saw genius happen in real time where people were called to the carpet in the moment. How do we problem solve? How do we move? And just went with it.
Yeah.
It was a lab. It wasn't just a trip, but it was a class. It was a lab, and experimentation happened, learning happened, all of it. And so we learned so much about ourselves too, and the people who were there, and the character of the people.
Yeah.
And I think what really kind of superseded all of that was, what is the purpose of the mission? So while we may have thought we were supposed to have a meeting right now, and the meeting has flip-flopped, and we found out we have to eat some jollof rice before he'll even talk to us. He don't want to talk business. He want to eat jollof rice. So we got to eat some rice before he'll even, just all of that stuff. What's the big picture? The big picture is Wasoner. The big picture is the implication of what this means. So I can put aside an inconvenience or a preference for the big picture.
Right.
Learn.
I think that the big gift for me, and I say this in all honesty, it's because of the way that those people love me.
It's the truth. And we saw that they really do love
They
Yeah.
love my comedy. They like, oh, here she come. All right,
Yeah.
what we gonna do now? But um, the love and respect that they have for me
Mhm.
allowed them to take you into doors that most people take months to get into.
That's so true.
And because they knew that I am so serious about this and I take everything that they say, like, oh, really? Okay, well, let's do that. Um, they let you have that. They let you have those moments. What I learned in doing business in Malaysia is the importance of relationship building.
Oh, that's so,
So
and we
what
really found that out.
you all did was actually you were viewed and assessed on your ability to conform and hear and address your needs in such a way that they got it that you were serious and
Real
authentic
deal.
about
Hmm.
this. And the thing that I learned in Malaysia is that when you can create a relationship that is not about the outcome of money or the business or the whatever you after, but that the larger outcome is that you are part of their family,
Yes.
part of the family.
Yes.
And so in doing the things that you all got to do, that's what you were being primed for, to see exactly how well you could be open to merging and being part of the family and being part of the culture and the system that for a lot of people is very difficult to do business
Yes.
in because they're not used to doing business in Africa.
Hmm.
And so being able to move in such a way and go into certain rooms, um, it, it was all about creating a relationship. It wasn't about whether or not they're going to like you as American or accept you or whatever. It was about you going in the room and creating an energy that said, I'm an authentic person who is in love with God, and all I want to do is serve.
Yeah.
Once they get that, then they know that you're ready to move forward in a deeper relationship. And um, I'm so happy that for the most part, the majority of our team are very conscious people,
Yeah.
spirit. So they could just be like their hearts and their spirits were so open and welcoming to what those people actually are about that you came away with. And one of the things that the king said to me my last evening with them was that he just hopes and he prays that everybody on the dream team left with what they came to get,
Yeah.
that
And
they
so
were fully fulfilled.
let me I want to go back to the conversation about the Council of Mayors, but I want to give a personal um, validation to the character of the king in that,
Yeah,
because while I was there, you remember there was a lot going on, and I
yeah.
didn't have the opportunity initially to talk about real estate, which is why I went over there. I wanted to talk about land, real estate, and I wouldn't let you forget it. Um, but
I
because
delivers.
I know. But because of, and I love you too. Whatever, I love you too. When he heard that I had not had that conversation there, he spoke, and I don't know how that went. But you
I mean,
came back.
this is the list. These are the things that they have not got. This person needs this. This person needs that,
Mhm.
and that's
And it
it.
happened. And that's what I want to talk about. It happened when he heard that I had not had the conversation that I
Mhm.
had flown over 5,000 miles to have. He stopped what he was doing, gave you a call. Then you let me know, hey, Charity, they're sending, the king is sending a car for you. Go to his office. He's ready to have a conversation with you about real estate. It was that real. And I want to go back to something you brought up that was really important. It was, we went in on the recognizance of your relationship. So the work and the layers of faithfulness and duty and genuine love for the people that was already laid before we got there was a solid foundation to enter the country and the conversation with. And I believe I thanked you there, but I'm going to thank you now in a global form where everybody who watches this show will see it. It meant something, though. It meant something because all of us, we go in with our resumes and our repertoires and our accomplishments, and and we're accomplished people. We're ready, but we don't have the relationship. They don't know us like that, but they knew Mama Wakeelah. And if we said Mama Wakeelah said, then it's like,
we don't want
the doors open. So
Yeah.
that means something, though, Elder. And so I'm so grateful for your vision and what all of this means. That vision, though, led you to the World Council of Mayors. I'm gonna get back to that question.
Okay. Yeah.
What did that validation with the World Council of Mayors mean for the project? Was already valid. It was already inspired by God, etc. But to have that added validation certainly means something. Tell us what it meant to the project.
Well, actually, I got connected to the World Conference of Mayors through their
council. Pardon me. Yes.
Reading our platform and the summary of what we're doing, and we were invited to attend the commemoration in Tulsa and to talk about
the commemoration of the massacre.
Yes. And we were invited to come and to help with the Taft, Oklahoma is a Black township, historic Black township. And so we are still going to help them in the development of an aviation school like the one that we have here for elementary. And then that's when they saw the whole platform and the summary of Wasoner and all this. And so we were invited, the Council of Elders were invited to become honorary members. And so as we were inducted as honorary members at that commemoration, I'm going in.
I took myself.
Yes, and historic Black townships, I just want to ask if Wasoner can be officially recognized as a historic Black town and settlement, because that's exactly what it will be. And when I finished doing that, now Wasoner is actually officially listed as a historic Black town and settlement. So in becoming that, you start making all the meetings. And so they have a weekly meeting in which I have now introduced Dr. Richard Tom to come and be part of and to be initiated as a mayor, in fact, honorary mayor, in fact, representing Somanya. So what that means is that we can now begin to talk more about Wasoner, what's available. I would love to see the relationships between HBCUs on the agriculture side, on the aviation side, which I'm being very careful with inviting your daughter in on a commission that has not been established yet. Because I believe
students, good is done. You know that.
I don't mess around with students too tough. I'll be giving them breaks because I know the deal. And I know Howard, and she is in one of the most premier schools at that institution.
For sure.
If you didn't already know this, world, at Howard University, I was faculty there for many years. And as anybody knows who has attended Howard University, know that the premier school at Howard is the School of Engineering.
Exactly.
And it is even more serious than people would say, oh, well, what about School of Medicine? What about School of Divinity? No. If you do not make it in the School of Engineering, you are asked, your next step is School of Business, which is as difficult, but not as challenging. And then you have the others. So the liberal arts and all the other things are whatever. At graduation, they will tell you that Howard University School of Engineering will again this year create the largest number of Black PhDs in the world.
Of which my daughter is a
Oh,
member.
that's why I'm gonna
She's
take my time.
I'm
That's my
excited.
dollar baby. See, me and Dr. Ross, we know how to deal with school. So one of the
Yes.
things that I'm hoping is that the World Conference of Mayors actually has what they call a Twin City program, in which they find a school as well as a township that will twin. It's different than the sister city, which is costly. Twinning is more importantly, let's see what we can do together. So
Yes.
that's what I'm hoping is going to come out of our World Conference of Mayors, as well as I asked in the last meeting with them that we asked that they allow the king to speak at their international conference in January, whether it is by digital or it's in person, but that it is time for him to really talk about the economic um, the economic benefits, but more importantly, the social cultural benefits of a settlement program like his, because there's no others. There's nobody's doing what we're doing, and
At
they
all.
say that they are, but they really aren't. They're just giving land, and you returnees can develop all that you want to. They are not going to be initiated into an actual kingdom.
So I want to take our final commercial break, but when we come back, I want to talk and I want you to go deep. We only have about 15 minutes when we come back.
Wow.
The economic, I told you we'll go fast. I told you we'll go fast. But I want to talk now the economic implications of what this project means. Certainly those of us who are in land development, I'm excited to start talking about the development of housing. I've been looking to sink my teeth into a project like this, and I told you this when we left. This is one of my life's callings, is to house the people of Yah coming back to the continent, and not only housing, but creating now this ecosystem with the communities who are already there.
Yeah.
With us coming in, what that means. And then once we're there, I want to talk the mental health of this return and what it means. We know that I believe it was Dr. Joy DeGroy, I'm butchering her name, who talks about the post-traumatic slave syndrome.
Yeah.
It's a thing. It's a real thing. So when we come back, let's talk economics and how economics has then an impact on mental health and where we go from there. We'll be right back.
All right.
Is there a way to naturally boost your energy and immune system to help you power through your day? Need to shave off extra pounds while eliminating toxic sludge from your body? Want a glow that makeup can't provide? Millions of women trust the world's famous ISO Detox Tea and other proven products from Total Life Changes. Our products are 100% natural and proven safe, even for children. Try our best-selling NutriBurst liquid vitamins, the Chewy and NRG to sustain feel-good energy all day. For coffee lovers, we have the deliciously smooth Delgado coffee, guaranteed to brighten your morning while enhancing your overall wellness. Visit our online store, read testimonials, and order your products at retail.totallifechanges.com/MogulLife/enrollment.
And we are back for the final part of this segment. I wish we had an hour and a half. I got a feeling we're going to go a little bit over the hour, but you are so worth this time. And I'm telling you, I'm excited that our global audience gets a chance to hear you and your words and what all this means. Before we went to break, Elder, we were talking about the validation of the World Conference of Mayors, but we started to talk about the King's economic plan. And right now we're developing an MOU, and we're talking about what all of us are now coming to the table and having this conversation within the dream team about what our division will look like and how this will now be the template for the world to see how formerly enslaved descendants can come home, how Africans in the diaspora come home. We're setting the template of that. First of all, that's historic in and of itself. What a blessing from God to participate in that. But talk to us in all of your vast work and knowledge. Certainly, you have a vast history in economic development globally. Talk to us about now the implications of what this means for the descendants of formerly enslaved people to come back now with real, viable economic development opportunity, with the opportunity now for Blackness to be removed as a hard ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
Put our creativity in a place that's welcoming it, and it now bears fruit for the world to see. What are the implications of that? And then what's the impact of that implication on the mental health? Addressing now the post-traumatic slave syndrome. What's the impact on the head and the heart after we talk the economic part? Let it rip.
Well, you know, I'm going to go with the mental health piece first, but
Okay.
I hope that my hope is that everybody that I take for the first time, when they come back, they realize the shift in their sense of identity. They realize,
Proudly.
yeah, you kind of like go like, wow, I'm an important energy in the scheme of things. And an example of that was sitting in the room with Pastor Van and the Mango people. Except well, any place that we went, and you all had answers to everything. And this is what I think we could do. That is that innovative spirit and education and hard work that we've had to do in order for us to survive and be part of a family. Period. You know, we often don't realize our value until we get in those kinds of situations to go like, oh yeah, I know. Okay, look, this is what we're gonna do. And so Pastor Van was one of those people. And just to show you how it's like this effect. Just one person talked about one of their problems. It was about spraying the trees or something, and da, 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 da. His mind immediately went to what he knows as a farmer, as a builder, as a creator immediately. And he began to talk to the gentleman later on about, well, this is what I think you could do. But if you get me this and you get me that, and I can come back out here, I can show you how to solve that problem.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you think about that coming together as an economic piece and a psychological piece, but more importantly, let's take the spiritual piece in, which is he as a pastor has a spiritual obligation to helping, expanding, innovating out for people. And that's what all he and Dr. Michelle, that's all that they do. It's always an outcome that it's going to better the community. And so when you think about what we're bringing an expansion of things. One of my really technical skills, and I just don't even play in the world no more. It's amazing to me. Is I'm a great innovative coach. And while I was teaching, anything as a project that you did for me cannot exist today, but it should solve a problem someplace, but also add to your economic future. And I think that's what we have in front of us with Wasoner. We have what is called a blank page,
Yes.
which we can call anybody home who wants to serve, innovate, create, develop, and be part of a whole different infrastructure and a whole different economic conversation. And so I asked Dr. Richard Twan, who is going to be our mayor representative for Somanya, to send me their current development projects.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was reading over them, and I said, these are very simple. And I just started immediately going like, well, we have so-and-so that can do so-and-so and so-and-so, and this person so-and-so, and UNESCO is online with WCM to give money to girl education and female education. You want that center where we have this person, that, they already do that. And what I'm doing, these are not difficult projects, but it's like you become an addition to the hard work that's already going on. So when you think about farming, agriculture, development, very simple request. We've been working on it for like 3 years. I'm sure that you can move it forward for me. But one of the things on there was to have a multi fruit processing plant, but more importantly, to do that with the mango.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is that they're looking for a facility to process the many, many byproducts of the mango.
Yes.
Also, they have a very lucrative tilapia fish farm.
Yes.
And one of the things that the lab, Bernard, asked me about the other day is, hey, can you find out if anybody's producing a byproduct from the scales of the tilapia?
Okay, so
when you look at the innovation that's in our agriculture schools, in our labs, in our research domains, this is like a very small, and more importantly, people could get excited about working with that kind of thing, creating a processor or a plant that has several different ways to make mango chip, mango oil, mango cream, mango this, mango drink.
Mango leather. I saw something with mango leather.
Yeah, and some of my mango experts were going like, okay, that's a big stretch. How long is that going to last?
I've seen it. I have seen it.
I know it's beautiful. So what we have is the opportunity. So when you marry economics and mental wellness, you are alleviating one of the biggest strains of the human being, and that is erasing poverty. Not only for yourself, but also for the people that you're going to engage. So you often hear us on this project talking about, well, how will this serve our neighbors, the other villages, the other people around us? How many people can we hire? How many people can we? What is this going to produce in the long run? So economically, it's another alternative for us in America.
It's a carte blanche opportunity. It really is, just carte blanche.
Yeah.
And I want to go back and add something, because we also had I'm looking at this beautiful cloth.
Oh, yeah.
Where we went to the chief of Smocks.
I started to wear it.
The chief of Smocks, El Haji had the pleasure of sitting in his meeting where we're talking about the economics, right? And where we fit. He brought in, I believe it was 80 smock makers, people that he had trained and mentored and sent people to school with creating these beautiful fabrics. And while we were there in that meeting, had the opportunity to talk to him about where does he want this to go. And if you remember, we talked about re-envisioning what this is, right? And how it's traditionally worn. And I was like, this is art. Why are we not framing this? Why don't we have viewing parties? Why don't we call museums? And folks were like, we hadn't thought about it that way. So the innovation of what we have in the diaspora, bringing it to what the continent naturally does in its gifting and in its own genius, marrying the two, where the best of us in the diaspora meets the best of us on the continent. And we get this opportunity to have this harmonious merging of genius and ideas and spirit and collective experience. We now have the opportunity, and we at 1 minute to an hour, we have now the opportunity, I knew it was going to go fast, to now start to address some of the challenges that were still on the continent post-colonialism, and some of the challenges that are in the diaspora and all that has. And so in closing, Elder Wakeelah, if you could leave our listening audience, and we've talked about Genesis to Revelation. And we still have not scratched the surface. This is seriously just a very topographical conversation because it goes so much deeper. In March, we'll be going back, right, to now have our ceremony where we're brought into the community. That'll be a whole nother show. I'm probably going to have to bring my cameras for that one. But in leaving, what's the message you want to leave with our listeners who are in the diaspora, who are now considering this may actually be a viable possibility for my present and for my posterity? What do you want to leave with them?
There is research that says, why is it that the Native American did not fight and attack the Europeans that were invading their shores? And neuroscience says that it was impossible for them to see the boats far away because they had never seen that before. They had never experienced these people that had the hard helmets and were like clothed and looking strange and all of that. And so when you think about leaving this place that has its challenges that are based on old premises of worthiness, success, and you go to a place in which you see the people just abundantly innovating, making world happen. And it's like this acceptance that that's exactly what we should be doing and not trying to dodge bullets, have the right words, have the right picture, have the right, and compete with, have the right degree, and all of that. If you are tired of having to meet and dance to the drum of something that you did not create for yourself, Africa is there. That is your home. And until you have that experience, you're going to be in this thing about what other people say, what other people do online. If you just go, once you are there, I promise you, the day that you in your visa say you got to go, you are going to start crying and try and asking the question, when can I come back and can I stay another week? How do I get my visa? It happens every time. And one person, and this is my final word. So when our great father, the pastor of our king, met with us, he said these things. In Ghana, you're going to eat, you're going to be clothed, you're going to have a place to stay, and you're going to live, and you're going to live well. So why would you not come here and just be? Come on. You're not going to starve. This is Ghana. So it's like all the reasons why a person would not take this on as an opportunity for the future. The king said yesterday in our Council of Elders meeting, and everybody, you will hear us say this more and more and more. This is a generational project. I am 71. I am doing this not for me. I'm doing this for my grandchildren. I just had my great grandchild, my first one.
Congratulations, I saw, yes.
And it's like, oh my gosh, Rashid is going to take us home. And if we are blessed to be a royal family among our tribe, the Wasoner, then there is the possibility that someday he will be a chief, because he will be accepted as one of them and part of the royal chieftaincy because of you, because of you, me, and everybody else that led this agenda. So we're doing this for the future of our children so that they have an alternative an alternative. You can now get a plane ticket and pay for it as you come to the date of your leaving. There is no reason for us to stay here and be consumed with limiting conversations about our ability to be abundant but great spiritual beings. And that's what I love, and that's what I wish for all of us, that someday that every human will have this one moment of enlightenment in which they say to themselves, oh my God, you have created a perfect being that is here to serve, to love, and to live in harmony with other people. That is my prayer. And yes, I'm emotional.
No, I get why. I get why.
Yes.
Been there, done that, and
Yeah.
I absolutely get why. Elder, it's been my pleasure, my honor to serve today as the not just the host, but the guide for
Yeah.
this conversation,
Yes.
for all those who have listened
Yes.
to our collective experiences in Ghana and all that we had to partake of. I really pray that they heard what you were saying about the possibility, the generational possibility,
Yes.
and how now this is no longer a prayer that
Yes.
our forefathers and foremothers prayed. This is now the manifestation of prayer.
Yes.
And so now it's incumbent upon us who hear it to now answer that and take full, I hate to say take full advantage, but embrace it completely. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. Totally embrace this moment in time, because I really do see it as a spiritual portal in time. We don't know.
Yes.
We don't know if we will get this opportunity again, but today the waters have been parted.
Yes.
We see a straight path ahead.
Right.
And I am honored to serve on the Wasoner Dream Team as one of the people who are now developing what this template will look like. You talked about Rashid, your great grandson, and all the implications. I think about now my son, Victor, and my daughter, Kari, and we've had this conversation. Should they be blessed to partake of being a royal family? Because you know their mama be queening all the time, but the mama be queening all the time.
Yeah.
But seriously, should they have that blessing now? The word I like to use is options. You said alternatives, but that's what I talk to my children about. It's options.
Yeah.
The work, the sacrifice, the travel, the whatever it is, it's to provide the next generation now the option to no longer have this narrative.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
We're looking for that next generation who no longer I got chills saying that. We're working so that the next generation no longer has this narrative.
Right.
Elder Wakeelah, thank you for your years of service, not only in the academic world, in the global business world, in the spiritual guidance world, in the cultural curation world. Thank you for all of your sacrifice, but most of all, thank you for your vision. It's because of you and you. And I want to also say Elder Terrell Florence, who was given this, and we'll have to have him tell you all about this, but it was his vision to have a place for people in the diaspora to land. And he then gave that baton to you. And then you gave the baton to us to go create it. So there's so much here. There's so much that we can talk about when it comes to divine providence and just the order of God and the love and the provision of God. I'll embrace what you said. We couldn't have prayed this up. We just had to obey this one. We just had to embrace this one. We couldn't pray this up. This is divine intervention. This is Yah's plan. So I won't hold you any longer. We've already gone a few minutes over time, but again, you are so worth the extension in time. You are so worth hearing. Thank you for being with me today. Thank all of you for joining me for my conversation today with Elder Wakeelah Martinez. As you heard, we had the opportunity to travel to Ghana in the summer of 2021. And let me tell you, If you have not had that opportunity, I'm going to personally invite you, especially if you are interested in business development when it comes to nation building, real estate development. That's the team that I'm working on. And if that's of interest to you, we're going to put information at the bottom of the show for you to connect with us. And we'll then connect you with the team. And prayerfully, you will begin to see this as a viable option for you and your family. If you take nothing else away from this conversation I just had with Elder Wakeelah, this is what I want you to take away. The opportunity to erase the narratives that we've had to embrace for so long, the opportunity to now create a new one is here. It's going to take courage to embrace it. I won't even lie to you there. It's going to take courage to embrace it, but let's be honest. We've been praying for this opportunity a long time. So I hope now you've heard our heart, you hear our passion, and now Ghana will become a viable opportunity for you. Thank you again for tuning in to this installment of Ghana Week on Mogul Talk. Stay tuned because the following week, we're going to take, as if we couldn't go any higher, we're going to take this thing a step higher and again, expand the dialogue and the conversation. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. You won't regret it. Thank you again for tuning into our show. Bye-bye for now.